And I'm joined by the chair of the Foreign Affairs and Aid Committee, the member for McNamara, Josh Burns. Josh Burns, thanks for your time. It must be a very tough time for you personally as a Jewish Australian, but also for members of your community. You represent many members of the Jewish community. There must be great shock and mourning right now.
Good afternoon, KG, and thanks for having me on the program. It's been a really tough weekend, and most Jewish Australians would have spent the weekend contacting their family, contacting their friends, sending them messages like, are you okay? Are you safe? It's been a really difficult time, and I think everyone either has heard of someone they know being caught up in this. Certainly my family spent time in bomb shelters and underground with young kids, unsure of whether they're going to be called up as part of the reservist forces. It's really distressing, and the scenes coming out of Israel by this unprovoked terrorist attack by Hamas is just shattering. It's shattering, and seeing the footage of people fleeing a music festival like what we have all the time here in Victoria and around Australia, people going to a remote part to hang out with their friends and dance, and to have 260 bodies being recovered is shattering.
It is. It's heartbreaking. As you say, those young kids at the dance party, it's hard to get your head around, isn't it? And when you particularly think that age group, I've been to Tel Aviv, I know you have as well, and that young demographic who would be just out there to have a good time, and probably the furthest thing you could find from a hawks or anti-Palestinian sentiment, probably among the vast bulk of those people.
I mean, these are people who are in their late teens, early 20s, who wear silly costumes and go into the bush and try and unwind with their friends. Many of them would have come out of their national service duties and are either at university or at TAFE or whatever they're doing, and they're just looking to spend their weekend to kind of unwind, and to have a scenario where they are literally mowed down by a terrorist organisation, and to have 260 young people, innocent people who are just trying to enjoy their life is honestly, it's one of the worst atrocities I've ever seen, and it's completely shattering. And Australia stands in absolute solidarity with the people of Israel.
Every day, more details emerging of just how indiscriminate some of these atrocities, these war crimes, these terrorist acts were, Josh Burns.
Well, what we know is that Hamas in Australia is a proscribed terrorist organisation. This is an organisation where in Australia, according to Australian law, it's illegal to support or affiliate or associate oneself with that organisation. Otherwise, you can be prosecuted under counter-terrorism legislation in Australia. This is an organisation where it is, in its very fabric, there to go after the destruction of the State of Israel and to kill Jewish people. And that's exactly what they did. But it wasn't just Jewish people. There have been reports of Bedouins, of other people. Israel's a deeply multicultural society, and there have been other victims of their terror, as there often is. So, yeah, it's the more that we find out about what has happened 50 years after the Yom Kippur War, where Israelis and many others would have memories of attacks going on to civilian areas. This is a reminder, and it happened on a religious holiday where people were either celebrating in the bush or at synagogue and commemorating Simchat Torah, which is a religious holiday, with their friends and their family and their community. It's devastating.
I want to play something now, a video of one of the leaders of an imam, I think, in southwest Sydney speaking, just to pick up a bit of the sentiment here, but it reflects something we've seen internationally as well, some clashes between supporters of Israel and the Palestinians in the United States. We're seeing support for the Palestinians here, another rally later in the day, but let's play you these comments and get your reaction.
I'm smiling and I'm happy. I'm elated. It's a day of courage! It's a day of happiness! It's a day of pride! It's a day of victory! This is the day we've been waiting for!
What's your reaction to that? And does the government condemn the protests or rallies in support of the attacks on Israel?
Let me say something as clearly as I can, KG, that I would never celebrate the death of anyone, let alone a young Palestinian person. It would never give me joy to see a young person, a Palestinian person, being killed. I don't want to see that, and I never do, and I would never take joy from that. I don't think Australians take joy in seeing innocent civilians being killed and mowed down. This was an indiscriminate terrorist attack against civilians, and I'm desperate to see a peaceful resolution to this decades-long conflict. And I don't see Palestinian people as my enemy. I see them as the partner of a future peace. But to see the scenes coming out of Israel in the last 24, 48 hours, it is shattering. To see innocent people being killed and attacked by a terrorist organisation, innocent people who were just going about their business as Australians would and as Australians were. Yeah. I would never want to wish that on another person. I don't think Australians would want to wish that on another person. And frankly, beyond that, I don't think those comments are worth very much at all.
When you look at the prospect of another rally in support of the Palestinians later today, James Paterson has warned those that might be attending that Hamas and Hezbollah are both terrorist organisations in Australia. So any paraphernalia, flags, support would be deemed in that light. Would you reiterate that message?
Well, James is right that both Hamas and Hezbollah are prescribed terrorist organisations under Australian law. So it is illegal to affiliate, to support, to publicly display their paraphernalia in a way that is glorifying those organisations. So I would echo that word of caution by James Paterson, and I would hope that anyone who seeks to protest or express solidarity does so within the laws of Australia and respects the laws of our country.
And when they express solidarity, do you think that they should be gathering in support of the actions undertaken in Israel by the group of terrorists that attacked and killed so many innocent people?
It makes absolutely no sense to me, KG, that anyone would come out in support of the death of what is now 700 innocent people, and that death toll is climbing. It makes absolutely no sense to me that someone would come out and claim that it brings them joy to see innocent people being killed. I personally don't see how it brings any prospect of peace closer by having the sorts of violence we've seen over the last 24, 48 hours happen in Israel. I mean, just for 1 second, imagine if 700 Australians had been killed, including 260 Australians at a music festival, at a bush doof, being killed and mowed down. I mean, it is the worst kind of terrorism, targeting innocent people, and it is only going to bring more bloodshed, and it is shattering. But Hamas is a terrorist organisation. This is what they do, and Israel will stand firm, and Israel will see it through, and Israel will be there at the end of this.
Josh Burns, Chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee and also member for Macnamara, appreciate your time on a tough day. Thanks.
Thanks, KG.